there's so many great movies that nobody's talking about for some reason. So let's list a few of them today. Now, obviously, some of you have seen some of these movies, if not all of them, but my point is that these movies don't get enough recognition among the average viewer. Whether it's because they were a foreign film, an indie film, or that they just got beaten out in the box office, these movies don't get talked about enough. So I just came up with a quick list of 5 movies that I personally enjoy a lot, and I don't think get enough recognition. Number 1, The Illusionist. Now, The Illusionist has a pretty good rating pretty much everywhere you look, and isn't really considered a bad movie by anybody. It was just kind of forgotten about. And a big part of that was that it was released at the same time as The Prestige. Both movies revolve around magicians and mysteries and murder. And because they were so similar, both kind of were forgotten about a little bit because of it. Now, The Prestige was remembered better because it was directed by Christopher Nolan between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. Therefore, it had more recognition because of the bigger name director. Whereas The Illusionist is Neil Burger's biggest film to date. With a cast including Edward Norton, Jessica Biel, and Paul Giamatti, the acting is phenomenal. The pacing and the writing of the movie is perfect, and the mystery leaves you guessing until the very end. The first time I saw it, I was completely infuriated by the twist at the end. The atmosphere throughout the whole movie is perfectly executed. Honestly, it's harder to come up with anything bad to say about it. It's a great movie and doesn't get talked about enough. Number 2, The Brass Teapot. The Brass Teapot is an indie film starring Juno Temple and Michael Angarano. And it's directed by Rama Mosley. And if you don't know who that is, I can't really help you there. But if you're going to be known for one movie, this isn't a bad one to be known for. The plot centers around a down-and-out couple who doesn't really have anything going for them, until one day they find a magical brass teapot that gives them money every time they're hurt. From there it becomes a story about how power can corrupt, and how far people are really willing to go in order to reach success. It's your typical Genie in the Lamp type story, but the way that it's portrayed is so quirky and different that it's actually original. Throw in some hilarious bits of comedy and some great character chemistry, and there you have it. You have yourself an amazing movie. Number 3, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is a sci-fi romance directed by Michel Gondry starring Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet. To only think of Jim Carrey as a comedic actor is a crime, and most of America is guilty of it. Jim Carrey's best performances often came when he was doing a dramatic role, such as in this movie, as well as The Majestic and Man on the Moon, which could have easily made this list as well. The plot takes place sometime in the near future where a company is offering to delete painful memories, such as bad relationships or pets that you miss. The movie follows Jim Carrey's character as he finds out that Kate Winslet's character had him erased from her memory. He then decides to have her erased from his memory too, but during the process, he changes his mind. He then, from inside his brain, tries to hold on to the memories as they're being erased one at a time. That means that the majority of this movie takes place within Jim Carrey's mind, through his memories. And that's pretty much all I can say about it. It's got amazing surreal imagery, and just the storytelling and acting is all perfect. The way it honestly portrays relationships is painfully real and raw and emotional. It really is a shame that this movie isn't talked about more. When you mention Jim Carrey's dramatic roles, all people ever think of is The Truman Show. But this movie's even better than that. And I think the only reason that people aren't talking about this movie more is that if you mention Jim Carrey, people think Ace Ventura. This movie is honestly my favorite movie of all time. And that's all I can say about it. Just go see it. Number 4, Mr. Nobody. Mr. Nobody is directed by Jaco van Dommere and starring Jared Leto. Now, if your first thought when you hear Jared Leto with Suicide Squad, I apologize. Please take as much time as you need to get that image out of your head. I promise you, this Jared Leto is not that same guy. At all. At all. In fact, his acting in this movie is nothing short of phenomenal. And all the other actors that surround him are really good too. The writing is fantastic and the storytelling is brilliant. And I wish I could tell you more about it, but I can't tell you a lot. The movie takes place in 2092, which at this point they've eliminated all need to die of natural causes. So the last living mortal man is being interviewed about his life story before he dies. But the more he tells about his life, the less it actually adds up and makes sense. And honestly, that's pretty much all I can tell you. If you love Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind or movies that you have to see multiple times to understand, then you're gonna love this one too. The acting, the writing, the directing, the cinematography, everything about it is great. It's perfect, it's amazing. Just see it. Trust me, it'll be worth it. Number 5, Ernest and Celestine. Ernest and Celestine is a French children's movie directed by Stéphane Abier. I don't know. and in the English dub is voiced by Forrest Whitaker and Mackenzie Foy. The movie centers around a bear and a field mouse becoming unlikely friends and working together. Not only is the voice acting in this movie phenomenal, but the animation is so simplistically beautiful. The minimalistic hand-drawn style is so unique, so beautiful, and so refreshing. The voice acting is brilliant, and there's perfect character chemistry and perfect balance of comedy and drama and everything throughout. And what starts as a lighthearted fun movie is honestly actually a really good social commentary movie at the same time. There's no point in the movie where it messes up the flow just to try to get a point across. It's actually just natural. Everything about it is so good. It's not just some kids movie. It's a great movie that just happens to be for kids. And I honestly haven't met one person yet who's seen it. So I hope you guys actually do watch these movies and enjoy them as much as I do, because I think they're amazing. I'm Simon from SimonsRants, and that was my rant for today.